What's up, FHN? I'm Jack.
And I'm Max, and we're coming to you live from Room 105 for this week's episode of The Nightly Show.
We have a variety of interviews and stories for you this week.
Sounds cool. What are we kicking it off with, Jack?
We're starting off with a story about FHN's French teacher by Max Ramirez.
Max, take it away.
Madam Lieberson is a teacher at Francis Howell North, and this is her experience teaching.
My favorite part about teaching is making connections with students and building people up. I chose going to teaching because I liked French, that was one thing. But teaching was mainly for the fact that I wanted to be the person that I did not have growing up, or the person that I needed.
You lived in France, right? Sometime?
Yeah, for 5 months. It was really cool. It was an experience. I remember feeling so much culture shock when I got there of how differently everything was done, but it was something that I would never trade that experience for anything. It was awesome. So where I was at like university, but like what I experienced was a more strict, old-fashioned way of education. So there were like no games or anything like that. But again, I was at college level. I like to build community by playing games or checking in on people's mental health and having people like learn how to take care of each other's well-being. I remember like my favorite classes in high school were the ones that I felt like I could be myself in and were like really comfortable, so I wanted to create that, and also it helps me build connection with my students and get to know them, and helps like build that connection of like, I'm here if you need anything.
You know, that's really cool what all she does to help connect the class.
For sure. Classes like those make school more fun. School isn't always sunshine and roses, though.
Here's a video from Max and I about the stress teens deal with from school and many other sources.
In today's society, becoming a teenager means procuring an immense amount of stress. Many kids are experiencing something they have never felt before and wonder what's causing this new weight put upon them.
I think that what I see in teens is that a lot of people want to get perfect grades, and they try really hard to get great grades, and I think a lot of that comes from like external things, whether it's like knowing they need to get a scholarship or knowing they want to get into a certain school. So they place a lot of pressure on themselves to take difficult classes and to do perfect in those classes. But when you add that to like external factors like jobs that they have outside of school, and I feel like I have so many students who have multiple jobs even that I'm shocked that they even have time to like do all of their homework. I think it's a combination of just figuring out how to schedule all of that.
The American Psychological Association reports that 31% of teens feel overwhelmed in their lives. Adding extracurricular activities with jobs while being in high school causes teens to be extremely overworked. Everybody's schedule is different, setting an example on how no two people are the same.
I think everyone manages their stress like in different ways, but like whatever way fits best for them is what they should use, and they should try to figure that out, whatever helps them.
So I think that just first finding a schedule of your day and what classes you want to take that you know won't stress you out. So just finding different ways to de-stress and finding something that is calming to you, like maybe reading a book, escaping a little bit.
Stress can lead to mental health problems like depression and anxiety. According to Mental Health America, around 15% of youth aged 12 to 17 report suffering one major depressive episode in the past year. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The counselors at FHN are always here to help with whatever you need. If you'd like to request a session, simply just scan the QR codes you see around the school.
Stress isn't only seen in students, but also in the school district in general.
Recently, the Attorney General of Missouri filed a lawsuit against FHSD for having a mask mandate.
Here's an interview with Dr. Lammers about the worries it caused in the district.
My name is Luke Lammers. I am the principal. It's difficult to have school during the pandemic. I'm glad we're having it to be as normal as we possibly can, but we can't run a school the way we know a school should be run. Like next week we're having our first pep assembly in 2 years. Like that's just not normal. That's not, we have masks on our face. That's not normal. So there was a court case a few months back where a court in Missouri ruled that unelected officials do not have the authority to implement mask mandates and quarantines and things of that nature. And our state's attorney general interpreted that as, well, then no school districts can implement mask mandates. And a lot of schools went, okay, fine, we'll pull back on the mask mandates. Our district's consulting attorneys looked at that court case and saw, well, okay, the school boards are elected. They are elected officials. So they do have the ability to implement mask mandates and to do COVID mitigation strategies. So the stance of our district is that we disagree. Our school district disagrees with the Attorney General. I agree with the mask mandate. If you follow the science, the real science, it shows that properly, consistently wearing masks, it doesn't fully prevent transmission, but it slows the transmission. Everywhere it's been done, it has had an impact, and it has had an impact here too. When we started it in our schools, or out in the county, the Omicron variant the positivity rate was close to 40% in our county, which is insanely high. Yet transmission rates decreased in our schools. Of course, the masks had a part in that. The valid science is on the side of masking.
COVID has really thrown the world through a loop.
For sure, and it doesn't seem like it's going away either.
Speaking of COVID, here's a story about the effects COVID has had on the girls' swim team here at North.
It's been nearly 2 years since the initial lockdown, and people are still struggling with the after effects of COVID. Today we look into the lives of swimmers Hannah Button and Tori Montgomery. Button and Montgomery both missed parts of their swim season due to having COVID. Here's their coach Carrie Kleins talking about the effects that missing practices has on their season.
From January to about February, we have our swim meets like back to back. So we'll go practice one day, swim meet the next day, and then so on. So if they're out for a week, they miss 2 meets, and when they're good swimmers, it affects the teams. Because one day out of the water, your legs don't feel the same in the water.
Montgomery, a second-year swimmer, agrees with her coach on this.
Not having the practices really did affect how my performance was.
Now, Button and Montgomery weren't the only ones affected by catching COVID.
They all had to pick up my events that I wasn't able to swim anymore.
One of the most dangerous things about COVID are the potential lingering serious health issues linked to having the virus. According to Kleins, no one on the girls' swim team has had any serious health issues, but most people still believe that the return to play procedure is important. Button and Montgomery both got cleared to return to the team in time for their district competition, and were very glad to be back.
I guess it just made me appreciate having something to do and doing something that I'm surrounded by a bunch of girls who can support me and I can have fun with, and coaches that I enjoy.
COVID is still a very real issue and affects almost all of us. FHN athletic trainer Caitlin Edison just hopes that all athletes can return to the level they were at prior to having COVID and basically forget they had COVID. Now back to you, Jack and Max.
It must really be tough missing part of your sports season.
Definitely, man. I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
Yeah, well, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of The Nightly Show.
Once again, I'm Jag.
And I'm Max.
Signing off.